Hello there, Internet. Mogwai here, and I got another video for you guys today. A little bit different though. As you can see, we got the full screen mode going on. I thought I had a hair in my mouth there. Great way to start things. This is something that I used to do much more in the past when, I've been doing YouTube for quite some time now. Well, when did I start exactly? 2014, more or less? 6 years, right? And throughout my career, or I call it that, of me just talking in front of my camera for a living, I've had different phases, right? I used to be much nuttier, like I feel like as a person, I took a bit more to mature than most. So my early days in YouTube are pretty cringy, and I went through, like I said, different phases and such. But something that I always like to do is every now and then just sit down and talk in front of, like I said, my camera, ramble for a little bit about my my life and things and stuff, to try to like communicate with you guys a little bit more, to show you like the person behind all the videos, and just kind of like explain what's going on. And I tend to only do these videos when when I have to justify certain things, right? I've never been the most consistent person on YouTube, which is why I'm very proud of myself this year, because last year with Magic the Gathering Arena, and this year, which I've been just completely focused on Legends of Runeterra, I've established, especially this year specifically, I've established really strong consistency, and more so than what I've been capable of in the past. And I guess I'm going to pat myself on the back for that, but at a certain point, I needed a bit of a break. And in today's video, I'm going to explain a little bit why I needed some time off, what I've been going through, and I'm going to share a few personal things, I guess. Like, I never really been one to shy away too much from that. I'm not one to, like, I don't talk about my problems every day, but sometimes it feels good to let it out. What better way to do it than in front of like thousands of people, right? Whatever, man. But yeah, I used to do these way more. I had like all these. I think I would do a video like this like every 1 or 2 months, with the thumbnail of me just like staring at the nothingness and just like contemplating life and stuff, just like. And I would have like these titles, and that would just go on for minutes and minutes and minutes, and just talking about my personal stuff. So yeah, this video is very raw. I have no script, actually, no like talking points either. I just felt like I would just do it like a natural conversation, even if it is only one-sided. And if you guys are interested in this, then cool. If you aren't, which I understand, then you can just wait for the next upload that's happening today. I will be live reacting to Soraka and Shyvana. I actually got done recording the video before recording this one to make sure that it was ready. And it will go up later today as well. But I feel like I owe a bit of an explanation to at least those of you who were worrying about me, because there were a few of you who were a bit concerned. In YouTube, time passes quicker than usual, so if you take a few days off, then people start thinking you're dead or something. So yeah, what happened, and I also have to explain why Mogwai to Top Masters just got interrupted, like just ceased to be all of a sudden, as we were done with the 3rd episode. So I think I'm going to start off with that a little bit. I'm going to talk about my experience trying to qualify for the European Legends of Runeterra tournament. I wanted to qualify to represent Spain. In order to do so, I had to be at the top 3 of the ladder for Spanish players. And ultimately, unfortunately, I'm in a very like stacked country when it comes to competitive quality in regards to Runeterra. And I also, there's a few mistakes that I've made that I've learned from for sure. The main one is, I should have dedicated more time to it. I should have begun the climb sooner. I had a long time to just start pushing for the climb, and start trying to figure it out. But it's funny because people think, well, if this game is technically your job, then what excuses can you possibly have? You're playing this game all the time. Like, you should be just as well prepared as most. But it's actually funny because being a content creator for a game actually is a handicap when it comes to pursuing, competitive aspirations in that game, because especially for one of like my nature, which is I focus on making new decks every day. I want to showcase guys. Like, the reason why I like card games and I play card games over stuff like, I don't know, chess or other strategy games is because I enjoy the variety, the diversity in play styles, archetypes, strategies, and I really like to express my creativity through deck building. I have fun. It makes me happy to do that. That's why I play card games, right? So with Runeterra, I've taken a very strict approach of like trying to build as many different decks as I can, showcase all sorts of different play styles, so that everybody out there who has a different favorite champion can go to my videos and look out, okay, I really, really, really want to see a Katarina deck, or I really want to see a Yasuo deck, I really want to see a Thresh deck, I want to see Ashe, etc. Whatever it is, the champion that you like to see, I will have a deck that you can do well with it, because it's not like I just make random decks and just post them online. Like, I actually put a lot of thought into every single one of my builds, because I take into consideration that people are going to be playing this deck. People are going to be taking this deck and they're going to be playing with it. So I want them to succeed. I want them to give them good quality decks to play against the other meta decks with their favorite champions on the line. So that's the whole purpose of my channel as of right now, really. And the fact that me doing this does hinder me competitively, because I don't have the ability to focus on specific meta decks and just play them again and again and again and optimize them and get to like actually get experience with that archetype, because I'm switching from one play style to the other. I hinder myself in that regard. Now, when it comes to tournaments, that's different. I've been pretty successful in tournaments in the past because I get very creative. I love being creative for tournaments. I love designing specific lineups to target certain strategies that I think will be very popular. And there's a lot of things that I can do, depending on the format. I like adapting to formats and really figuring it out, right? Even though I haven't competed in a tournament in a bit, because I've been focusing on my content, I don't think my style hinders me too much from that. But it does hinder me from laddering, right? In the sense that it's harder for me to maintain a high ladder score while I showcase different decks every day, for obvious reasons. When I'm experimenting with a new concept, I'm prepared to tank my entire rank with it, get back down to 0, square 1 in Masters, and then start climbing again. That tends to be how the process goes, right? So that's why I delayed my climb, because I prioritized my YouTube, right? I delayed it, and I said to myself, in the last 7 days, I will make the push. The thing is, I started off from like 0 when there were already people at 500. So there were a lot of especially competitive players and people who know the competitive scene didn't really give me chances at all to even get close to qualifying, because I started really far behind, right? And hindsight is 2020, but obviously I could have approached it differently, but I don't think I would have, because like I said, YouTube has always been a priority, even though because of my attempt at this tournament and because of my competitive nature, I did end up just abandoning YouTube for half a week in the end anyways, right? But it could, because I know myself is a thing. And if I started earlier, you guys could have had 2 weeks without me uploading a video, and that would have been really bad for my channel, right? So ultimately what happened was that I started climbing. I figured I would record a series with it because it was very demanded. It was called Mogwai to Top Masters. I even worked with Gabby for the thumbnail and everything. We wanted to make the thumbnail a little bit different, but also similar to the standard one. And I wanted to make it a good series. Regardless of if I won or lost, I wanted to keep the episodes rolling. The problem is, on Thursday last week, I I had a very, very negative experience. It's also something that I was very wary of and afraid of, which was laddering in a Lee Sin environment. Proved to be just as awful of an experience as I expected it to be, really. I'm not gonna lie. This metagame is absolute garbage. It just is. Because of the dominance of Lee Sin, because we have a deck with a champion that is just so it's just so over the top broken, it's insane. A champion that ends games from full health with the only requirement of him staying on the board for like 1 or 2 turns is a champion that's going to force a very harsh environment that's going to make people have to play either very fast-paced, over-the-top, aggressive decks or play over-the-top, fast-paced, aggressive decks, basically. You have some leeway, though, some flexibility in the environment, because if all of a sudden Lee Sin starts to drop because of the high prevalence of Bilgewater decks, then you can start running stuff like War Mother's Call with a bunch of healing to capitalize on the aggro decks, right? It becomes a bit of like a matchup roulette sort of environment, and I wasn't a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of just not being able to play so many different decks because I knew Lee Sin would just automatically win against them. And ultimately, I started off with Heimerdinger and I was doing really well with him. But because of Lee Sin, even though I had a pretty even matchup with Lee Sin with Heimerdinger, eventually I reached the point in which the abundance of pirate aggro was so high, especially at the higher levels when I reached like the 300s, that I just could not get a win streak if my life depended on it. On Thursday, I tried, and I tried again, and I couldn't. And then ultimately, I realized I was being a little bit too stubborn, sticking with the deck that I was sticking with, and I started switching, trying out other stuff. The problem is I just did not have enough time to actually test decks and see what would be good in this specific environment. So I just kept testing these variants of meta decks and these ideas that I had, but everything just failed. And I, because I was feeling the pressure of like the clock ticking on me, I also started like rushing my games a little bit and misplaying, and I tilted like I have not tilted in a long time. Like I got so frustrated that day. It was one of the darkest days I've had with Runeterra in a while. And it actually hit me pretty hard, because the next day I woke up and I'm like, I don't want to play this game. I don't care if I'm gonna just like I just like the idea of picking up Legend of Runeterra and opening it like made me nauseous. And that's not a good thing to feel when your channel is dedicated to that game. But that's what this competitive experience did to me. And the blame, at least from my perspective, is purely on the, honestly, very disappointing balancing that's been happening. Like these two past balance patches have been really bad. The buff to Lee Sin was... It was something that I was excited about at first, because I didn't even think about it, and Lee Sin was underplayed, so I'm always excited to see like the potential of a champion to be more represented, right? That's always something that I'm up for, but it was so unnecessarily like, it was such a ridiculous buff that it just turned them into a monster. It just turned them into an oppressive monster that just ruined everything in my eyes. And then Bastion happened, and that monster got even more enhanced. Like people who say that Lee Sin was fine before the Bastion buff, no offense, but you have no idea about game balance if that's what you think. Like I'm gonna take that elitist stance, for once, because get the fuck out of here with that shit. Like that, you cannot say that converting a 6 mana champion that is intended to be a late game finisher and just taking away 2 health points from it and converting it into a 4-drop is fine. That is just not fine, and it's been proven. It's been proven to death at this point. Everybody's tired of it. So yeah, I just did not want to see a Lee Sin. I didn't want to run into pirate aggro. I wasn't sure what to play, and I just dreaded the idea of playing Runeterra because Thursday just took everything out of me. So I took the day off. That's the sensible decision, right? I took the day off. On Saturday, I woke up and I actually did not feel like playing either. I also like I took Friday off not only from Runeterra but just from the internet in general. I just did not want to like open my computer. I isolated myself from that and social media and everything because that helps me a lot. You know, when I'm burnt out, that's the best way for me to heal as swiftly as possible, which is very important considering, you know, I run a channel, right? And I got to keep the uploads going. So on Saturday, I was feeling the same way. And I just really did not want to play. Like I had such a bad experience on Thursday that I was just not really into it. And then ultimately I'm like, you know what? I gotta try this. I gotta make an attempt. I said I was gonna do it. I know I felt miserable, but I gotta take a different approach and I gotta figure this out. So at 6 p.m. on Saturday, my time, I got back into it. I got back into the grind. I didn't really accomplish much. I started from like 90 and I went up a little bit. I went down a little bit. I didn't really climb too much. I spent Saturday basically figuring out what I wanted to play until ultimately I decided to go with, I wanted to go with Twisted Fate Swain. Twisted Fate Swain is an archetype that I've been really, like, I've really enjoyed it. Despite the fact that it's a meta deck, I think it's a very cool deck that its only flaw is that it's too popular, really, because it's an awesome build. I love playing with Swain and Twisted Fate, two of my top 5 favorite champions. So I'm a big fan of it, and I felt like it had a really good spot in the meta because it was able to take on Lee Sin decks due to my insane amount of cheap damage-based removal that could bypass Spell Shield by combining them together, and I would also not give up the Pirate aggro matchup as well. I really did not want to play aggro. I never enjoy playing aggro, not from a fun perspective and not from a competitive perspective as well, because I feel like it's just kind of like flipping a coin, right? It's just going all in. It's kill or be killed, and I just don't like playing a game like that. It's just not for me. So I really felt like Twisted Fate Swain was my best shot. But it took me too long to really optimize the list. I did finally optimize it on Sunday, and I made the push. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to give it my all. I don't have much time, but I'm going to do my best. And I went on one of the best win streaks I've ever had. Like, I did really damn well. Like, I'm going to share you guys... I'm going to share my Mobalytics with you real quick so you guys have an idea of how well this deck performed. Let me actually make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, yeah, there we go. So this is my Mobalytics. This shows my match record. So as you guys can see, on Sunday, right around... yeah, I started off here. This was like the old version of the deck that was starting to not work well because I wasn't able to beat the War Mothers deck. I was really struggling with War Mothers, right? So I decided to switch. I've had a random game with like Tarek Fiora, which I actually won, thank God. Then I switched over to War Mothers. I did well with it until I lost like 3 games to Pirate Aggro because this deck is just really rigid. And this is not even my bad matchup. Like, it's actually Lee Sin. I was like, yeah, this is not the deck that I'm going to be laddering with either. So I went back and I optimized the standard version of Twisted Fate Swain. I created my own version of it. And then that's when the wins just started coming. As you guys can see, I went on a really strong win streak against very high level players too. You know, we got Shogo Pass, Slay, Rowdy Poro, Turtle. I recognize all these guys. These guys are top ladder players. We kept going. We struggled a little bit here, but we kept pushing. We kept pushing. We kept pushing. We kept winning. We kept doing well. As you guys can see, like these are really strong win streaks considering the level of competition I'm facing, right? And I'm climbing. I started at 235 LP. And I ended up at 470. I peaked at 470. But then towards the end, I lost a couple of games in a row. One to Lee Sin, which is the deck that I'm supposed to counter. But because Lee Sin is as busted as he is, my opponent just drew the nuts and was able to have an answer for every single one of my removals. I didn't draw enough Ravenous Flocks. And yeah, I made the big error of not killing Lee Sin in like a turn on the board, and then I died to it. Like, not only did he have all the protection, he also had the lethal setup with the Zenith Blade, everything. Because that deck is just absolutely ridiculous and has completely ruined the meta, in my opinion. And yeah, it was very frustrating to go down to that, but I did. I knew it was bound to happen. Then I had another game in which my opponent also like had an aggro deck that just curved out way too fast. And ultimately, I just knew that I just did not have time from that point onwards, as I believe as I was at 420 something at that point. And I decided to drop here. So this Twisted Fate Swain deck, which I have shared on my Twitter, it's right here. There's some very, very key changes that I made. Like I incorporated a couple of Blades Edge, and I also run Hired Gun over House Spider, and the one-off of Jack the Winner. And these changes may not seem like much, but especially the Blades Edge and the Hired Gun really did make a difference. I had more fast tempo plays. I had easier ways to enable Swain stun, and because I'm running a couple of Blades Edge, they can also serve as pseudo warding shots, which can enable Riptide Rex, which is why I'm running it as a 3 of over the Leviathan, because I feel like this card is one of the best answers to Lee Sin, actually. So I upped it up in that, and yeah, this deck just absolutely killed it for me. Like it did really well, and ultimately that's where we ended at, right? We ended at number 4 in Spain. Like unfortunately, I knew it was very unlikely because as like on Sunday, at the beginning of Sunday, in the top 8, 3 of the top 8 players were Spanish, right? So they all had more than 560 LP. So yeah, these players have played longer than I have, and definitely deserve to qualify. So I knew it was going to be tough, and I knew I had to go all in with like a crazy win streak to do it. I think I did. I think I got pretty close. I ended up number 4 in Spain. You know, just right under. But unfortunately, that was not enough, and that was fine. The climbing experience up until that last streak was really frustrating, though. I was really tired of like all the Lee Sins and the aggro decks, and it's just not really I've seen better metagames, basically. Which is easier to say, right? When you have an environment where there's like one deck that is fundamentally broken. And yeah, that is basically what I did this weekend. I wanted to focus purely on this. I didn't want to stream because I didn't want to get paranoid over people sniping me. I just play worse under that environment, so I wanted to give myself the best chances. And that is basically why I didn't really upload or anything, because I was focusing on that, and I was also really dealing with my burnout from the game because I was tryharding so much in a defective metagame. So that's the reason why you guys haven't seen uploads, and that's the reason why I also stopped the series as well. It was just hindering my progress, and it was not the most efficient way for me to attempt to qualify for a tournament. So that's that, right? I also needed a break for other reasons, though. I've been having some health issues. By the way, speaking of like health issues, I want to reference like people when people see me like full screen, they always say like, "Oh, your eyes look so tired. You need to get more rest, man. Oh, well, what is that like that under your eyes, man? Are you okay?" That's how my face looks like. It doesn't matter if I slept for like 20 hours. I'm still gonna have it. I inherited it from my grandfather. Okay, I'm like that anime character from Death Note, the L guy. You know, like I don't know how you say ojeras in English actually, but yeah, the shadows here. That's genetics. That's my face. Okay, because every time I upload a full screen video, I always see comments like that. So, but that aside, I have been dealing with some health issues. I've had some problems with my stomach. I have this sensation that my stomach is like, I have like a rock on my stomach, and there's like pressure there all the time. It's discomfort. It's not pain. It's just general, consistent discomfort. And that messes with your head, at least with mine. I'm one of those people that I don't take my life for granted. I'm fully aware that I am a multicellular organism that is comprised of trillions and trillions of cells, and I have no control whatsoever over what they do. So I'm always paranoid about what's happening inside me. So when I have a constant sensation of my stomach being upset, I start getting a little bit anxious about it, right? Because I don't know what's happening. I'm a very control-oriented person. Like I like controlling things, and that is the ultimate thing you can't control, like your own health, right? So to have this chronic discomfort, this chronic sensation of like, you know, especially when I'm going down at night, I'm laying down on my side, and I feel like my organs don't fit, you know, like it's just super uncomfortable, whatever position I take. it starts really it's just really affecting me, right? Like I went to a specialist because I need information, and they were very like they understood where I was coming from, basically, and they ordered a gastroscopy, so an endoscopy, basically. They're gonna put a tube through my esophagus, and they're gonna take a look at my stomach and the end of my stomach and the beginning of the intestine, and of course my esophagus as well, all that stuff with a camera, so to see if there's anything there worth treating, right? And I'm getting that. I actually went this morning, and I'm getting the exam done on Thursday. So, yeah, wish me luck with that, and we'll go on from there. So, this affects me mentally. It's kind of like it's like a big weight that I'm carrying all the time. That's also like, because of my paranoia, that's also one of the things that I really love about games like Runeterra. Like, I'm able to just dive into it and I just forget about all this other stuff, you know? Like, I just focus on the game, and I'm having a blast. I'm enjoying myself. I'm just being an idiot, because that's how I behave when I play video games. And I just enjoy life, you know. I don't worry so much, you know, because that's also in my genes as well, you know, like not taking stuff for granted. I never take anything for granted, nothing. So, you know, I kind of wish sometimes I did, you know, if that makes any sense. It would make my day-to-day easier. But I mean, in this day and age with social media, we're all dealing with our own mental health problems, right? We all have our issues, and mine are nothing special and nothing. And there are definitely people who have it way worse than me. Like, I'm fully aware of that, obviously, as well. But I feel like I needed to share this because it's very real. It's a part of my life. It's a part of who I am, and it does define my conduct in a way. And I feel like it's important to, or at least it feels good sharing, right? So yeah, I'm gonna get that done. Because of the stomach problems, I'm not gonna dive more into that because it's more than just discomfort. It's also like it affects my bowels and everything. But I'm not gonna go into details there. But because my stomach is not functioning properly, and because that affects me mentally, and because of like my stress with this meta game and everything, like all these things like kind of like piled up, and I'm like, I need a. And it's funny because I technically took a break from YouTube, but it wasn't really a break because I was trying to climb and make it to the tournament. So I played more Runeterra than I ever had played. So I'm in a weird position in which I'm like a little bit burnt out, quite burnt out actually, and I hate this meta, and I haven't uploaded in a while, and I have to get back to it, right? I'm not gonna force myself ever to upload, by the way. Like, don't worry about that. The saving grace is that tomorrow we're getting new cards. And that's always the best thing in a card game, right? Like, we're getting new cards. New cards. Tam Kench is the champion that I'm most excited for, by the way. Shyvana is pretty fun, but also pretty straightforward. Just units, play dragons, and attack. You know, it's not the most convoluted strategy. So I can see how I could get a little bit bored of that early on. And Soraka is interesting. I'll say that. But Tam Kench is, like, the coolest, like, by far. I am so excited to mess with that champion, and I'm really excited to try out the landmarks, even though I don't really like a lot of their designs. You guys will see my reaction video later today, but I feel like, yeah, that's also important to note. But I'm burnt out, but I'm really looking forward to an expansion, and I will get back at it with the daily upload, so you guys don't have to worry about that, right? Like, I'm never gonna force my content. I really want my content to be enjoyable to watch, because I am an avid YouTube watcher myself. Like, my favorite thing to do at night, you know, besides spend time with my girlfriend and watch some shows and stuff, is late at night I like to watch some YouTube videos. You know, I watch some series here and there. I actually watch some Pokemon Showdown every now and then too, from my boy Pokemon, and I enjoy watching other people's videos. That's my TV, right? So I'm in a way I'm one of you, right? I always have been. So I really want to make sure that my videos would be something that I would enjoy watching myself, which is easier said than done a lot of times, right? I have to prioritize quality over quantity. and I always make sure that's the case, right? So, but because we're getting new cards, like I'm not really concerned about that being a problem. But I guess the ultimate purpose of this video is just to let you guys know that I'm a person, and sometimes I get fed up, I get emotional, perhaps more so than the average. You know, I am Spanish, I am Latino, my blood boils hot, and do not give me that Latino is Latin American bullshit. That's the English definition. I saw this moronic tweet. To be fair, she was like, what, like 15? She doesn't even know anything about life. But like when I see these teenagers trying to lecture others on social media, I get pissed. It's frustrating. But yeah, like, whatever. I'm going on a tangent there. But yeah, like my blood boils. I get very happy. I also get very pissed, right? Like I'm emotional. So yeah, and sometimes I struggle like everybody else. It's not easy to upload a new video with a new deck every single day, you know, like it's which is why sometimes I repeat old decks, you know, like and then I get people like disappointed in me for doing that. Like, dude, I don't shit videos, you know. Like, I wish I could. Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'm gonna take a dump. Oh, here's a video. That's my work for today, you know, like that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be too easy though. Like I would probably go crazy if my job were that. Like anybody would go crazy if they don't have to do anything ever, right? But I don't know. I found myself struggling a little bit. I definitely like no offense to Ruben. Like I seem pretty harsh, like with my statements towards the live design team. But I also gotta be honest, man. Like these last two balance patches have been bad. They've been bad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be a yes man and be like, hey, no, you did good. They were bad. Let's stop it with the overbuffing. Let's be more conscious of the effects. And I don't have to say this. Like the people in charge of live design are more experienced and more qualified for that job than I am. But they can make mistakes and they can let loose a little bit. And I think that's what's been happening. These past couple of balance patches have been very, very, very disappointing for me. And I really, really hope they step it up and we don't have a really garbage metagame again. Like I like this Lee Sin nonsense really pushed me over the edge, man. It really did. So I'm excited for them to fix that and be a little bit more cautious in the future regarding balance. And that's basically all I really have to say. You know, I felt like I rambled, but I also felt like I didn't ramble for an excessive amount of time. I guess I'll end this video by saying that I'm not going anywhere. Every now and then, I will probably need a little bit of a mini hiatus, like half a week off or something. It won't be too often though. Like you guys, like we're in October, right? And you know, it's been summer, and now when I've had mini breaks. Besides that, I've been like uploading nonstop. So I think I have earned myself this like a little bit vacation. It's hard to like. It's hard to have like a proper vacation when you're doing YouTube because YouTube doesn't understand vacations. YouTube just punishes you whenever you just stop uploading, and I'm pretty sure my views will hinder from this. But I will always prioritize my well-being, right? Like anybody should over their job. Like there's more to life than your work, and there's more to life than just card games, right? As much as I do love them, and I just hope you guys are excited for the upcoming content, and I hope you're not too upset about me because I could have been more vocal about this instead of just like disappearing. But sometimes it's just better for me that way because I stress out a little bit about like what to say. A lot of times I don't know exactly how much time I'm going to be taking off, so I don't want to be making false promises. You understand, right? I know you do. So yeah, that's basically I'm gonna end it there. Have a solid day. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the break, and hopefully you are excited for what's to come, and hopefully you're eager to play with the new cards coming tomorrow. And I will be trying to making as many decks as possible with the new champion so you guys can try something cool with the champion that you want to play personally. And yeah, love ya. Thank you for supporting my videos. Have a solid day. I'll see you tomorrow.